So in just the last 24 hours, the Trump administration has unleashed this whirlwind of economic policies. And at first glance, they look totally disconnected, right? You've got new tariffs over here, a forced tech deal there, and then this major shakeup for the chip industry. But trust me, they're not. We're going to connect the dots and show you the single huge strategy that's unfolding as we speak.
Okay, let's dive right in. So it all kicked off with this barrage of headlines, you probably saw them, announcing a whole new round of tariffs on everything from heavy trucks to kitchen cabinets.
But you know, this wasn't just any tariff announcement. The real headline grabber was this: a massive 100% duty on certain patented drugs. And that sent an absolute shockwave through the pharmaceutical industry.
At the exact same time, the president signed a new executive order. This one formally pushes forward that long-debated plan for American investors to buy TikTok's U.S. operations. The whole saga continues.
And as if that wasn't enough, reports also started bubbling up about a brand new plan to completely reshape the critical semiconductor industry. So you've got tariffs, a tech takeover, and a chip policy all hitting at once. So what in the world is the connection?
Well, the thing to understand is that these aren't just random, isolated actions. They are the foundational building blocks of a much, much broader strategy, what the president himself is calling a new tariff wall.
And here is the absolute key takeaway. This strategy, it isn't just about the overall trade deficit anymore. No, this is a very deliberate, sector-by-sector industrial policy. It's designed to protect and boost very specific American industries.
So how are they doing it? Well, the administration is leaning heavily on something called Section 232 investigations. This is important because it frames all these economic moves not just as trade spats, but as matters of national security. And that provides a much tougher legal foundation, one that could potentially sidestep the legal challenges that have tied up other tariff strategies in the past.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty and see how this whole thing is being built, starting with those new levies and exactly who they're aimed at.
I mean, what's really striking here is the sheer range. This is not a single industry attack. You've got rates going from 25% on heavy trucks all the way up to a jaw-dropping 100% on patented drugs, with things like furniture and cabinets caught right in the middle. It is a multi-front strategy, plain and simple.
And the market's reaction? It was instant, and it was pretty much exactly what you'd expect. It created this clear divide. Companies with strong U.S. manufacturing, like the truck maker PACCAR and pharma giant Eli Lilly, they saw their stocks jump. Meanwhile, businesses that really rely on those global supply chains, like the online furniture retailer Wayfair or the Danish drug maker Novo Nordisk, they took an immediate hit.
But this new brand of protectionism isn't just about tariffs. Oh no, the administration is also using its executive power to reshape the technology landscape. And right now, there is no bigger target than TikTok.
So just a little while ago, TikTok's U.S. business, we're talking about 170 million American users, was valued at a staggering $40 billion. Let that sink in for a second. But in the wake of the president's new executive order, the vice president has put a dramatically different number on the table, just $14 billion. That's a markdown of more than 60%. If that's not a signal of an extremely aggressive negotiating stance, I don't know what is.
And make no mistake, this is not a simple buyout. It is a highly complex restructuring with a very, very tight 120-day deadline. The deal demands a huge reduction of the Chinese parent company's stake, a special licensing agreement for that crucial secret sauce algorithm, and a whole group of U.S. buyers to take control. It's all designed to address those national security concerns.
Okay, so the third and final pillar of this economic blitz targets the technology that is at the absolute heart of our modern economy: semiconductors.
The administration is reportedly looking at a powerful new system with a really simple name: one in, one out. The idea is to directly link a company's ability to import chips to how much it produces right here at home. So the more you make in the U.S., the more you're allowed to bring in from overseas.
The goal here is crystal clear: force the reshoring of this absolutely critical manufacturing. It's a classic carrot-and-stick approach, right? It incentivizes companies to build and invest here, while at the same time threatening tariffs on those who don't. And just like we saw with the other announcements, the market took notice, with shares of U.S. chipmakers like Intel rallying on the news.
So when you take a step back and look at the whole picture, you can see how these individual moves, the tariffs, the TikTok deal, the chip policy, they all combine to form a major strategic shift.
But this aggressive new stance also leaves experts, allies, and the market with some absolutely critical questions.
First and foremost, is this tariff wall actually going to hold? I mean, analysts are already pointing out potential loopholes. The European Union is saying, hey, our pharma tariffs are already capped at 15%. And that big trade deal with Mexico and Canada could create exemptions for key industries like heavy trucks. The big question is, just how many holes will end up in this wall?
And then, of course, there's the TikTok saga. You've got this valuation that's been cut so drastically, and maybe more importantly, you have complete public silence from Beijing on whether they would even approve a deal like this. So, can this incredibly complex thing really get done in just 120 days? The clock is definitely ticking on a deal that is anything but certain.
And all of that brings us to the final and maybe the most important question of all. We've just seen the opening moves in this economic blitz. What we haven't seen is the countermove. How is the rest of the world going to respond to this new wall of protectionism? Well, that's a story that is really just beginning to unfold.